So, we are on our quest. We know we've got our intention, so we have an idea that there's something we're going toward. However, now that we know what we're going toward, how are we going to get there? I mean, that's huge, right? You might think, like I did in my early 20s, oh wow, there's some reason I'm waking up every morning wanting to die, wanting to kill myself, having what psychologists call suicidal ideations, which is a beautiful phrase for a very horrific state of mind. So all these suicidal ideations were coming up, and I couldn't understand them. But there is something that happened, and I believe there's a part of us that always calls out for healing. And in my experience, every time I've ever asked for healing, it has been answered. Not just how I think it should be answered, and not in my time frame at all, but it's been answered. And I genuinely began to, it's all I cared about was understanding why my emotions were so disrupted. I had an acting career in Hollywood, and I was making a lot of money, and I was traveling and modeling in Japan, and all of these things were happening, and I was on TV all the time, and it was just fantastic, and this should be amazing, but why do I feel so horrible? Well, I didn't feel horrible about my job. It was a dream come true. It was beautiful. But I needed to get through that opening that would allow me to understand the darkness that was facing me when I was not busy, when I was by myself, when I'd just woken up from some kind of weird dream. So I was on my quest, and I had no way to figure out what to do next. Yes, I went and tried to see psychotherapists and that sort of thing, and they're wonderful. They were very stabilizing. They were very helpful with integrating into the world and that sort of thing, but I wasn't being helped with my ultimate dilemma and problem. And in fact, at one psychotherapist's office, I was told that I couldn't even explore it without him having to report the person I was going to be trying to figure out if something happened with, and which is horrifying. Like they were going to report this person to the police in my hometown, and that a little hometown, it would have destroyed that person. So I said, heck no, I'm getting out of here. And then I was really, really bereft. It's like, what do I do now? I was just like floating out in the ocean on a piece of driftwood. The ocean being a very potent image of the subconscious, because my subconscious knew what was going on. So I had to figure out a way to understand what was going on, and my dreams were helping me somewhat. I gathered through my writing probably, 2 or 3 shelves worth of journaling for several years. That was really helping me get into this place of pain, what Eckhart Tolle would call the pain body. And it was quite an adventure, but it wasn't really taking me as deep as I needed to go, probably because I was too afraid to go there. So I needed more tools. Well, I was going to a yoga class at the time, and I got along with my instructor well. I was a very friendly, outgoing actor, so it was pretty easy to be around people. And one time he invited me to go out into the Mojave Desert. And I thought, this is incredible. I would love that. Tennessee, I grew up on a farm, and we traveled across the United States to get to California, my cousin and I, but my cousin went back home and didn't even stay. And so I was really on my own and hadn't gone out to the desert, and was curious and much into exploring. So we went out in his van, and before dawn one morning, and ate some puff cereal with carrot juice instead of milk, and it was just all really exotic. But I really trusted this person. First of all, he was like a stick. You know, he was really, really a yogi. All he did was meditate and teach yoga, and I didn't feel threatened by him in any way. So we went out after we finished our carrot juice cereal, and I took my shoes off and walked across the sand, and it was really cold, and we walked and walked, and there was like a big area of boulders, these huge boulders, and you could barely see them from the moonlight. And we started climbing up these boulders, and then as the sun started lighting up the sky, before you could even see it, you know how it lights up the sky, and it was navy blue, then lighter blue, and lighter, and then the stars faded, and all of a sudden the sun was coming out. It was getting really hot, and I don't remember why, but we took our clothes off, which was not a big deal because in yoga class we were in, you know, next to nothing anyway, just a little tiny sarong, like little tops and stuff. And so I took my clothes off, and he did too. And I think I laid down on the boulder first, and it was really cold, but I wanted to look up at the sky as it got brighter and brighter. And he said that he wanted to lay down on top of me. Now I know how that sounds. It sounds like, oh God, are you kidding me? But it wasn't like that. It was more like he wanted to, I could tell it was something yogic that he was going for, and I had no idea. I had no idea, but I was willing to trust the process. And I really clarified with him, this is not sexual. I'm not interested in that. And he was like, no, I'm not either. That's not what it is. So I felt him laying down on top of me, and I opened my eyes. And the moment I opened my eyes, there was something that he did with his body. He had practiced enough to understand how to regulate the energy body. You know, we have chakras, and at the time I didn't notice what was going on, but later in retrospect I figured it out. It took me like 30 years to figure out really what the awakening was all about. But he ran that energy in it, and he must have had the intention. He was trying to help me, like bring the energy up, and then you have this euphoric sense of transcending yourself. And what happened instead was I transcended something, but it was my conscious mind, and it was a pretty horrific experience. So I'll talk about that a little bit more in the next video, but what that was the beginning of me being able to slip into that other world.